am excited to be back here with you. I have been traveling the world. I still have quite a bit of travel left for this year. This year has been an incredible year of travel. We went to Mexico the end of June, and I went to Greece the end of May, and I just got back from Colombia, which was an incredible trip. So I went to go speak at a mastermind of a friend and colleague, a dear friend of mine, Ron Reich's A Player Mastermind. I did my signature talk, The Courage to Make Millions. It was really powerful, but he gave me such an incredible gift. And that gift was the ability to go whitewater rafting, which is something I've kind of always had in my spirit that I wanted to do since I was younger. But I've always been really afraid because I can't really swim. I'm like a doggy paddle kind of person. Come on in, guys, hang out with me here today. And so many lessons from that trip. I'm not going to go through them all, but whitewater rafting is work. Like, you got to be in shape to be able to do this because the water is hard and you're moving and it's splashing and it's all over the place. Like, it is everything that you see that it is. But the most beautiful part of it for me was to be able to see a part of God's creation that the majority of people in the world will never ever be able to see. And so when the rapids were calm and the river was just calm and we were just floating, well, we still had to paddle, but when we were floating most of the time I could look up, and on either side of me, I'll probably post a picture of it. I think I have already. On either side of me, there were just lush green mountains that haven't been touched by man. And that just left me in awe. And I was just in such gratitude that I get to live that kind of life, that I get to choose to do things like that for myself. And it did cause me to pull down on a lot of courage. So going to Colombia in and of itself was a courage experience. And then staying in the Colombian rainforest, we actually stayed in the location where the drug cartels used to stay when Pablo Escobar was in reign in Medellin, Colombia, because that's where we were. So that was a really cool thing to know that they used to have little houses built back there. That mean they were, covered camping type houses, but we were in the same areas where they used to hide from the federales. So there's that. It was amazing and incredible, and I am on fire, and I have a lot that I want to share. And so over the next coming weeks and months, especially leading up to Game On Live event, which is coming, that's my live event that we do every year, I have things that I want to share about being a $1 million business owner, creating a multi-million-dollar business. We've got our eWomen Network thing coming up in a couple of weeks. In like 3 weeks, I'll be in Texas. I got nominated for the Made It to a Million award with eWomen Network. Fingers crossed that we actually win that award and bring it home to Power Player Nation. And then we found out a few weeks, I don't know where I was when I got there. Oh, we were in Cabo still. So my last couple of days in Cabo, we found out that we made the Inc. 5000 list. So I'm super excited about that. So I'm going to be talking about this journey of getting to this place of being able to create what we've been able to create with this company, what I've been able to create with this company while still being me, while still being the girl that my mama gave birth to without having to change a thing. And it's been a beautiful journey. So I'm excited about all the things that are happening. One of the things that we're going to do, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, as we go through the content that I have today, is we're going to be shifting and moving a lot of my content inside of our Facebook group. We're going to be shifting the name. So the name of the Facebook group is going to be Making Millions for entrepreneurs, CEOs, and experts that have been stuck at six figures. Because there's reasons why you get stuck. And today I'm going to share one of those reasons, one of the biggest things that unlocked, that popped the cork for me. I think I want to say one of the biggest because there's a lot of big things, but this one was a huge one. And so I'm going to break it down into 3 different parts so that you can kind of look at where you are and make some adjustments and some shifts for yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in to what I have today. Just keep on coming in. This is going to be really, really informal, but I do want to introduce myself because I have been connecting with lots of people. We've started running Facebook ads in my company. For those of you guys who don't know, we built a $1 million business. We crossed $1 million. I was working 20 to 25 hours per week. I had one part-time assistant and a handful of contractors who worked inside of my business. And 0 paid ads, all organic traffic, mainly using Facebook. Actually, we might as well just call it Facebook. And so that's who I am in a nutshell, but just a quick introduction. My name is Shameca Tankerson. I am known as the Grandmaster of Rapid Success, Rapid Results. Using my rapid transformation method, what we do here at Shameca International is we empower CEOs, experts, and entrepreneurs to activate their most powerful level of leadership so that they can create unprecedented wealth that creates business dynasties, not just businesses that pay bills, but dynasties and wealth that endures for generation. Our vision, although it may seem insurmountable, is 1 million millionaires. That is our desire to help to create 1 million millionaires. Here's what I want to share about this vision. Only 2% of women business owners ever cross the $1 million mark, and even fewer look like me. Very few, even when they do hit that $1 million mark, can maintain that level of success. There are 30.2 million small businesses in the United States, according to the SBA, Small Business Association Administration. And out of all of those 30.2 million companies as a whole, not just women, so 2% of women business owners, but only 5% of those businesses are ever going to earn more than $1 million in revenue. That's a tiny amount. And you are looking at the founder and CEO of one of them. As a matter of fact, like I said earlier, my company is one of Inc. 5000's fastest growing companies in America for 2022. Woo, woo. Here, let me just give myself some. Yeah! Oh my gosh, we are in our third $1 million year. Super excited. We crossed the $1 million mark, I think last month. And what I've seen is there are many that have reached six figures, but can't seem to get past it. So I want to talk about this today. Most businesses hit a wall of growth and they can't get over it. And the strategy for the next level leap for them, it seems light years away. And the question is why? I want to talk about that today. If you want your company to be in the 5% and not part of the 95% who struggle or fail to succeed altogether, and if you are a CEO of an established six figure company, I want you to listen up and pay attention to what I'm about to share. I have some stories about how people have viewed me and even the success that I share. So there's three stories I want to tell. So the other, probably about a month ago, I was with a good friend of mine and colleague that's been on this journey with me for many years. And she told me a story that actually happened years ago when I crossed the six figure mark. And she was trying to refer me to someone, and the person asked where I lived. And basically, the person told her that there was no way someone who lived in the zip code that I lived in could have a six figure business. Okay, but I had one, right? That's not the only story. I want to keep going because I want you to see this pattern and I want to tell you how that used to be me as well and how that impacted my ability to create the business that I get to enjoy today. Okay. Here's the second story. So that was the first one. And that one happened years ago, but this just recently happened. I actually spoke at a virtual event maybe 3 weeks ago. I did my signature Courage to Make Millions talk, and like they were eating it up. And someone said, "Can I ask you a personal question?" So when I had come in, because I'm an open book, right? When I come in, I was actually I have an apartment that I have. So I was in the apartment. It's not finished yet. So I was like, "I'm here. This is why you see the white background. I don't have all my stuff. It's all good." And so I'm like, "Do you guys want to see?" Because I have like just a table and um, some artwork and some other things. And it's beautiful artwork, beautiful tables. Like I'm not gonna go and move in until it is completely done. So we have an entire team that's decorating everything. And so she said, "Can I ask you a personal question?" I'm like, "Of course, I'm an open book." And this is literally what she asked me. And it just dropped something into my spirit. She said, "If your company is making millions of dollars, why is your place so small?" And I was like, "Wow, that's an interesting question for you to be focused on right now." I didn't say that to her. What I said is, "This is where I choose to be." And here's the deal. I live in California. So when people say $1 million homes and they live in other places, $1 million house in California is not that big, right? It's tiny. There are $1.5 million condos right now in Palm Springs, right? And they're only like 1,800 square feet. That's the difference in the real estate market. And so there, it's all about perspective. Money is always about perspective, but that's neither here nor there. Here's what I ended up sharing with her that I thought was super powerful because it was a lesson I had to learn that actually unlocked millions for me. You judging or thinking that if I have $1 million business, I should look like, live like, abide in, wear certain things, show up in a certain way says more about you than it does about me. And what I want you to examine is, where are you pushing your goals off because you don't think you quite look like what you should or have what you should in order to be able to attain that goal? Because that was me. I thought all these things about having $1 million business or being a millionaire, all of these things that aren't true for me today. And it wasn't until I let them go that I was able to welcome millions into my life. So here's the last story I want to share because I want you to get a perspective of how these thoughts can come. And then I'm going to break down what this big shift was that I had to make. The last story is, we started running Facebook ads, and there was one particular ad, I think it was a video of me, and someone literally commented, "If you're making so much money, how come you don't fix your teeth?" And I was like, so my team was like, "Do you want us to delete it?" I was like, "No." And I'm not going to reply to them. Like, there's nothing wrong with my teeth. This is my mouth, right? This is the mouth I was born with. Like, I don't understand. So there's a judgment, right? That person had a judgment that if they had all the money in the world, maybe they would get plastic surgery. Maybe they would be perfect, right? And I'm like, there is no perfection. And I love 100% of who I be. The reality of it is, I forget that my teeth aren't quite straight. I forget that I have a gap because this is me. This is who I be. And the more comfortable I have been with being myself, the more money I make. And so when I get these reflections, when I get these judgments, when I see people's eyes pop open when they realize who they're speaking to and what we have accomplished in our business, because there was a preconceived notion of what success should be, it kind of warms my heart because I know breakthrough is coming, right? And it makes me think even about my own journey. And so um, here's what I know, that those judgments are more of a reflection of those people than they are of me. But it also allowed me to take a look at my own journey to the and look at the level of concept, look at the level of success that I currently have. And what I know that I know that I know is that I couldn't be me. I couldn't have what I have right now if I thought like I used to. When I had my first business and I was making just under multiple six figures, when I think about this, it blows my mind because of the level of revenue we create today in the business. I was making just under six figures a year, but my behavior and my thought process was to show people my success. So I had a big house. I had, um, Mercedes, BMW, like we had the cars, the house, we had all the things to show. I was giving out money to people like I was like a millionaire. Like it was just insane to think about it. But all of that was about what I believed it meant to have success at that level. I would think in order for me to create $1 million business, I have to work long hours. In order for me to create $1 million business, I have to have a huge team. There's no way I'd be able to do it with just me. In order for me to create $1 million business, someone would have to put me on. I would have to get on somebody's stage, get in somebody's community and crew, and then based on that, that circle that I'm in, that's what would elevate me and help me to rise to the top. I had all these thought processes that these people do things differently. And while there are some differences in the way people who are able to create $1 million businesses think, here's the truth. I also thought that $1 million business was a holy grail, just like at one time I thought six figures was a holy grail, which is why I was writing checks like I was a millionaire back when I had like barely a multiple six-figure business. And so all of those thought process pushed it further away from me. If you believe that $1 million is a lot of money or $1 million is hard to make, it's going to push it further and further away. It's going to be hard to make. When I think about it, when I think about how I used to think about $1 million in $1 million business, it's totally shifted. Now that I'm in this game and playing at this level, I'm like, oh my gosh, girl, you got a baby business. We had we did our retreat in February at the JW Marriott, and that's a big chain, right? So they are used to dealing with big name corporations who are dealing with like billion-dollar corporations, hundreds of millions of dollars. And so my tiny little money to them with my, 30 clients that were coming in the room, which is a huge accomplishment for me, but it just allowed me to understand, like, yeah, I have a multi-million dollar business. We were like just over 2 million, and we'll probably hit 3 million this year. We're just over $2 million, right? There are companies that are dealing with $100 million, right? There is a type of trust that I desire to set up for my family so that we are able to like create this enduring wealth that I'm talking about. In order for that to happen, there is a minimum investment of 25,000, but you almost also must have $500,000 to start that trust, right? That gets you looking at things in a different perspective. So I tell my clients all the time, like, six figures is minimum wage for a business owner. $1 million is where you start looking at scaling, right? You can start looking at about a half a million, but really the $1 million level is where you have the flexibility, the funds, the finances, the revenue, the cash flow to make decisions that will allow you to scale with simplicity, ease, and flow. And so everything's different now. How I look at things are different. And so I want you to think about this question. Why can't you make more money right now? If you're one of those people that are stuck, whatever revenue level that you're stuck, but especially if you're stuck at six figures and you have been for some years, it's not the economy or the recession. A lot of people are like, a recession is coming. People get to determine what a recession is, and oftentimes the declaration of a recession will fuel the recession because based on our behavior. So you get to decide what you buy into. I'm not saying ignore the economic signs, but also don't be premature with it either. Just prepare, right? So it's not the economy or the recession, it's not your audience or even your strategy per se. What I've seen is that the big shifts that are necessary for you to reach your next level, they're more internal than external. That's the truth. That's why no matter how many people you hire, no matter how many mentors, coaches, or programs you join or invest in, no matter how many times you do the numbers again and again and again, like, oh, it should be easy. $1 million is just 30 people in this program and that program. You could do it over and over and over again. Your capacity is capped at your current level. So I want to share just really quickly, I'm not going to go through it in detail, my rapid transformation model that we use to help my clients expand their leadership so that they can make room for the next level of wealth that they're meant to lead and have and hold. Today, though, I just want to focus on the expansion phase of the model. So it has three phases. One of them is to normalize. The second phase is to expand, and then you transcend, and then you go back and you do it all over again. And this is the model we go through that allows us to rapidly accelerate our growth in our numbers and in our leadership so that we're hitting what seems like impossible income goals faster than we ever thought. Okay. So you normalize the level that you're at. And then you, in the expansion phase, you are expanding your capacity. You are expanding your leadership. You are expanding your identity of yourself. You're working on you. That is what you're doing. And most people don't do that. They work on the business, they work in the business, they do the numbers, and they're wondering why they can't get to the next level because you can't lead at that next level. You don't have the capacity, right? So, working on you is an important part of that model. You have the ability to hold six figures. You have the ability to hold six figures. You have not yet expanded into the leader that can hold seven. Okay. So, today I want to focus on the expansion level of the model. And I want you to think as I'm talking through this, why might you be stuck at your current level? I had a young lady reach out last week and she said, I've been stuck at six figures for like 6 years. And no matter what I do, I can't seem to grow. And typically, what I see at these levels is that your decision making capacity, how you're deciding to run your business, the risk you're taking, they're at the level that you're at. Something has to give and something has to shift. But this is the biggest thing. So here's the thing that I shifted, right? There's a few things, but this is a big one. Okay. The first one is your current identity doesn't match your next level. Your self identity, how you see yourself, doesn't match your next level. How you see yourself has the most profound influence over your success because you will never out earn your self worth nor outperform who you believe yourself to be. Your current identity and how you see yourself is creating your results that you have right now, your current reality right now. Not what you do, but how you see yourself. You can't realize your big vision unless you elevate and recode your identity because who you be at this moment doesn't have the capacity for what's next. There's no system, no formula, no plan or course that is going to work at maximum capacity if you can't handle it on a soul level, on a cellular level. And to get this right, you must embody your next level. You must make room for what's next. This is the foundation to generating the most revenue that you can faster than you ever dreamed possible without fear, guilt, or shame. When I look at the things that I have done, it is almost unfathomable and seemingly impossible, right? I went from being stuck at six figures and trying to figure it out, like my brain couldn't rack I couldn't wrap my mind around how to make $1 million in my business, but I knew I wanted to do it. We were at just under 500,000, like 480 something thousand dollars for the year before that we crossed $1 million. But all that first quarter, I couldn't figure it out. And there's some decisions that I made, some work that I did on myself, some risk I was willing to take, some allowing myself to expand. I couldn't see myself. Let me give you an example. I couldn't see myself leading how I lead powerfully with more people than 8 to 12 people in a program. That decision alone, I had a belief that my power would diminish if there were more people in the container. And so I actually went on a journey to proving myself wrong by watching other people who had done it, still moving people and transforming people in a room when there was hundreds of people or thousands of people in the room with them. That was able to anchor something inside of me that you can do it too. And I released that inner belief. I opened up room. That year, we went from 8 people in my mastermind to 32. Right. Right now we're at about 54. So there's always something about capacity and leadership. Again, you're never going to out earn how you see yourself. You cannot out earn your self identity. The next thing that I want you to look at, and all of this has to do with identity, is you put people who are at your next level on a pedestal. This is not like, oh my gosh, you're so amazing. It's just like, wow, you did that. I could never, I don't know how. All of those things, like they're on a pedestal as if they have some magic that you don't have. And I did that. And I'm going to be quite frank, honest, and direct. I did that a lot with white people. I'm just going to call a spade. A lot. Because I would make this decision that they had it easier than me some way or somehow. And again, I had to shift my identity. I get to achieve too. It gets to be easy for me too. That is now how I see things. And again, look at what I've achieved, right? We did $1 million in a month. We did $1 million in a day. Like rapid acceleration because I began to see myself differently, not in comparison to what other people were able to accomplish, but what I am capable of accomplishing. I gave myself permission to exceed on the level of anybody else out there. And when I walk in a room, that's all I see myself as. I don't see somebody else getting more and better opportunities because of the color of their skin against mine. That's a big thing for people of color. And so I wanted to bring that out because that was a big thing that held me back is an internal belief. It wasn't something I was walking around saying, but we get fed this as we're growing up. You got to be 10 times better. So here I was going around trying to be 10 times better and wondering why I wasn't accomplishing. Well, because my programming said, my identity said, there's no way, it doesn't matter how hard you're going to work. You have to work 10 times harder just to be equal to, right? Just to be under. I had to release that identity. Here's the thing, anything you put on a pedestal, you are pushing away. Anything you've placed on a pedestal, whether it's goals, dreams, money, even people, Success is no respecter of persons. You got to get that down. I'm not negating what you experience every day in your life. Don't get me wrong, because I understand, I overstand. But it's the decisions we make about who we are in relationship to what's happening into the world that keeps success far away. So when I took things, people, and opportunities off pedestals, so many opportunities began to come my way. We are on the Inc. 5000 list this year. That means out of those 30 million companies in the United States, we are part of the 5,000 fastest growing companies. And we find out in about a week or so where we are on that list. We could be in the top 500. That's how fast we've grown. Fingers crossed. I don't know. Right. But we find out what number we are on that list. That's a big freaking deal. Right. Anything I'm putting on a pedestal, I'd love to be in a mastermind like that. I would like colleagues like that. I would like to get speaking, all of those things. You are making far and outside, so far away from yourself, outside of yourself, and therefore beyond your reach and capacity to receive. So think about the $1 million. Is there an altar for the $1 million? Is there a pedestal that the $1 million is on? It's so far away from you. It's beyond your reach and beyond your capacity to receive and allow it into your life. Here is a couple of perspective shifts for this one. Don't put things on pedestal. Don't put people on pedestals. Don't look up to them. Look at them. Don't be so searching for the goal of $1 million you can't see it's right in front of you. Look at it eye to eye, toe to toe, face to face. Not up, at. Second perspective shift for this one. More like a question. What would it take for other people's success to be a source of inspiration and not trigger? See, remember I talked about the white people? I love you guys, but I want to share this. It would trigger me. So I had to shift that success to a source of inspiration. If they can do it, and they've only been in business 3 years, even though I've been in business 10 years, then obviously I can do this too. And now I'm getting to the point where I'm doing things first. I'm not waiting on somebody else to inspire. I'm the prototype. I am the blueprint. Because here's the thing, there's not always going to be someone who has done what you're trying to do, the way you're trying to do it, and in your skin. I was always looking for somebody who was going to show me the way, mentor, guide me. And there wasn't very many people who look like me that I could look up to. There wasn't really anybody at all who had a similar story as me. And so I would always push it away and push it away and put them on pedestals. Then I had to realize I'm the blueprint. I am the prototype. And so are you. You are likely the first in your family that has ever done or will do. And when you're doing something that's never been done, that you've never seen been done, you're just going to have to trust and go out there and do it. It's possible for you. No matter what that is, it is possible for you. All right. So, what would it take for you not to assume that it was far away from you and to be inspired and not triggered by the success of other people? Last thing that I want to share today, and then I'm going to wrap it up. When it comes to identity, you have an internal judgment of whatever that is, what that level of success may mean for you. It's an internal agreement, an inner contract, something that you decided that you don't even have to think about anymore. It's just there. It's almost like that thought process that I have to work harder than everybody else just to keep up. I had to let that ish go. Right. So, what's your internal judgment? You may have an internal judgment of how it's supposed to happen. Like you got all these people out here telling you, you got to have 100,000 people on your list before you count $1 million. You need to hire salespeople and team. There's no way you're going to be able to do it. You got to spend. I was in a room with somebody just recently who literally told everybody organic traffic doesn't work. And if you want to make any amount of money, you have to do paid advertising. And I was like, oh, so that's a fact. And I'm like, here I am sitting in the room, a shining example of exactly the opposite. And what happens is we give people so much authority over our lives that because we put them on pedestals and they talk and say, this is the only way that it can be. And you internalize that and thus make a decision pushing your goal further away from you. I remember believing that if I didn't have Infusionsoft, which by the way I do, but let's just pretend like I don't for a minute because I didn't buy it for that reason. But if I didn't have Infusionsoft, no one was going to take my business seriously. Because at the time, lots of people were having Infusionsoft come speak at their events and they were selling it. So their way of selling it was like putting it on a pedestal to make you feel bad about any other system that you were using. Now we use all kinds of systems and it's okay. But there was a point in time where people would look down their nose at you or tell you that you would be, no one is going to take you seriously if you're not using Infusionsoft, right? People would tell you, if you don't have a list, you're never going to make $1 million. I crossed $1 million with a list of about 1,500 people with a Facebook group that had 300 people in it at a time. It's not about the list, right? It's about the connection to the audience that you have. I have an audience of buyers. I have an audience of engaged people. My messaging is like a dog whistle to the people that I'm supposed to serve. So I'm weeding through the crap instead of having huge amounts of people following me. The people who are following me desire what I have. And that's a huge difference, right? But I got to decide what that looks like. And that's what I want to share with you. $1 million businesses or whatever the goal is that you have gets to look however you decide it gets to look. If you want to cross $1 million with a tiny list, then do it. If you want to do it with or without Facebook ads, then do it. With or without funnels or a website, or there is no absolute you have to have or do it this way in order for it to work. Yeah, I said it. Fight me. There isn't. Whatever you decide will be true for you. Whatever is in alignment with you will be powerful and will work, but it must be in alignment. It can't be something that you're choosing to do because somebody told you to do it or you think that you have to do it to make it work. Even the structure of your program, I have to have group, I have to have private, I have to do this or I have to do that. No, there's many business models that work. You can scale to millions with many different business models. There's proof out there of every type and every kind. Is there an internal judgment that you're making about making more money than a partner or spouse or a family member? I have to leave my family behind. Someone has to put me on the stage. If I have $1 million business, I have to work long hours. That one is a pet peeve of mine. Because in social media all day long, because people want to sell you their way of doing things, I see lots of posts about, well, everybody doesn't want to have $1 million business because everybody who has $1 million business won't tell you that they're stressed out, overworked, don't have any profit. And they start making a list of all these things that may be true for them or may be true for the people that they spoke to, but they're not an absolute fact. There's a difference between fact and truth. Truth is whatever you believe. Fact is a fact. It's law. It can be proven with numbers. And I am living proof that those things don't have to be the case. You get to decide what it looks like for you. I travel. I have a good time. I don't work 24/7. I built this thing without a huge team. We're building out my company now. Now that we've crossed $1 million, we're laying the foundation to create a dynasty, a real lasting business like Omaha Steaks, like Procter and Gamble, that will far outlive me. That requires people other than me. So we are building that now. But to get to this point, I got to choose how I wanted to do it. I've had people tell me, you got to do this and you got to do that. If you want to make more money, just do more events. I don't want to work like that. That's not the life I want to live. And I got to choose what I wanted it to look like. I have a profitable business, 41% profitability. Profitable, profit, not just I crossed $1 million in sales. You get to decide, right? So, what's that inner agreement or judgment that you have about what that next level of success may mean for you, especially if right now you're working your behind off to make multiple six figures? You can't possibly fathom working more. That's an inner judgment that you're probably making without even knowing. Like, there's no way I can make that much money without doing this, this, or that, because I'm doing all of this to make this. It gets to look however you want. You just have to engage the right support, the right community, right? The right place to get the guidance to see how it can be done the way you desire to do it. End of discussion, period. So you get to let all of those inner agreements go, right? That freed me. That freed me, even to be myself. Most people who have multi-million dollar businesses dress a certain way, look a certain way, they definitely don't have blue hair. And so then there's me. But like I said, and I'll say it again and again, I've been stamped by God. I'm not looking for your approval or anybody else's. I'm just doing me. I'm doing me, not even to the best of my ability, to my 100% capacity. I'm going to be who God created me to be until the wheels fall off. And trust and believe that everything is mine, is coming my way, and no one can take that from me, no matter what. Yeah, people judge books by its covers, but that's on them if they decide not to read this one. And I'm okay with that. I am okay with that because I'm not going to sell out my soul to try to get the approval of people who don't like me anyway. You get to choose what this journey looks like. But in order for you to do that, it is going to require you to shift not your identity for other people, but how you see yourself. Your current identity is blocking you from hitting your next level. You get to decide. How do you want to shift in all of those areas? How do you want to shift? That's it. That was what was on my heart. So, one more time, we're going to be moving a lot of this training into our Making Millions Facebook group that we're putting together. I will start to post the link to get you guys to go over there. I'll come live out here a few times just with some short little things, but the detailed stuff, we're going to start opening the behind the scenes, showing you some of the templates that we use inside of my business. All of those things will be happening inside of the Making Millions group, and it is for entrepreneurs, CEOs, and leaders, experts who have been stuck at six figures and who desire to make millions in their business. I want to show you, give you an opportunity to see a different vantage point, because everybody will give you their 5-step process for how to create $1 million business. And my thing is, there's many, many ways to skin a cat. We ain't skinning cats around here, but there's many, many ways to do that. You get to choose, follow the one that feels in alignment with you, and watch what happens with ease and flow. I have a client who we're going to do a case study maybe in a week or so, who came to me 9 months ago. She came to me and said she wanted to do Play Big. And I'm going to talk about this probably in another live stream about time and timing and mentorship and how to choose what level is right for you. And I said, you don't need Play Big. Based on what you want to do and where you are right now, I need more time with you, right? We need to put you in Next Level Authority, which is my 12-month mentorship program. We're 9 months in. Actually, we're finishing her year, but about 10 months into it. She recently just celebrated doing 6 figures in 9 days, and she hadn't done 6 figures at all prior to coming in. She did 6 figures in the first 9 months. That's where the 9 months came from. Just remember that. In the first 9 months of working together, she did 6 figures. We took a look at that a couple of weeks ago, and within a couple of weeks of that appointment that we had with each other, our coaching call with each other, she had $117,000 week. That's how fast this stuff happens when you're in alignment, and it's all ease and flow for her, right? She's been in the expansion phase and doing the work, like searching herself, making room, making decisions about who she wanted to be in the world. And she just blew the lid off anything she ever thought she would be able to do. And so we're going to be sharing those insights about how we do those things inside of that community. So I'll be coming back around in the next few weeks or so, giving you the link to the group. Some of you may already be in there. But we're going to shift the way we're showing up in that group, because I have a desire to help people on a much different level and a greater level than we have been over the past few years. We're about to turn up the fire, pour some gasoline on this ish, because more people, we want to flip this thing on its head, right? Right now, a small percentage of people, the majority of wealth is in the hands of a small percentage of people, right? A minority have it. My desire is to see a world where the minority are the people who are struggling, and that the majority have the wealth. That starts with you and me. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Thank you so much for watching my show, my channel. Here's what I want you to do. If you really love what you've been listening to, I want you to subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment. No, really, leave a comment, like right now. I'm not gonna stop talking until you leave a comment.
experiences, leave a comment.